So Brian is the founder and CEO of Kairos, a Miami-based human analytics platform providing facial recognition and emotion analysis to businesses with developer-friendly APIs and SDKs. Who knows what an API and SDK is? That's a smart people. Right? So Kairos was started in 2011 and was selected by Wall Street Journal as one of the top 25 startups in the country for 2013. Kairos is an endeavor company and currently services more than 10,000 clients in 70 countries, processing millions of faces each month. Brian leads the senior management team in establishing the company's strategic direction while engaging directly with customers and investors from around the globe. Prior to founding Kairos, Brian served as a senior project manager for Apple, and before Apple, he was a senior managing consultant for IBM. So this brother is very, very smart. In addition to his work at Kairos, Brian lectures extensively around the world on entrepreneurship, code, digital economy, AI, and machine learning, and participates in mentorship programs for organizations like Girls Who Code, Black Girls Code, and the School District of Miami-Dade County. And one last really, really important fact about Brian is that just yesterday he was named Black Enterprise Innovator of the Year. Welcome, Brian.
So bad, because he's built it up so high. You're like, yeah, who's this guy? He's all right. Thanks for having me, guys. Really, really good to be here. This is a special community to me. I feel like, I spent a lot of time in San Francisco. I'm from Philadelphia originally. I live in Miami now. And I feel like the future of tech really isn't, innovation isn't going to come from the San Franciscos of the world. It's going to come from your triangles of the world, right? It's going to come from Miami of the world. It's going to come from overseas. I think that people in some of these other markets are solving real problems and have a history and a background like you guys have here of tech and innovation. It's kind of in your blood, it's in your DNA. And so I can't imagine anything but greatness coming out of this organization. This building is going to be one of the key pillars of the future. So I congratulate you guys on really what you're doing, and humbly thank you for having me. So what am I going to cover today? Artificial intelligence and facial recognition, such long, boring words. Let's try to kind of tone it down a little bit. What I want to do is take these kind of long words and how do we apply them to what you guys are doing, to what you're working on, right? And then we're going to have really an extensive Q&A, because I really believe all the value really comes from your questions and not from me kind of droning on at you guys. And so be as real as you want, be as direct as you want. I'm going to answer your questions extremely directly, and let's see if we can kind of push the envelope forward for everybody in the room, however possible. I'm Brian. I run Kairos. We're a facial recognition company. And what does that mean? Our customers are doing a number of different things. We can figure out who one person is in about 42 million in about 250 milliseconds, or 1/4 second. And we're up to about 99.6% sure the person is who we think that they are. So with that kind of power, it can solve a lot of different problems. So what our customers are doing are things like in healthcare. Let's say you come into a hospital and you're unconscious, maybe schizophrenic. The person can just hold up a phone or an iPad over your face, and your whole medical record comes up. Right? So they can say, oh, this person got a latex allergy. I'm going to take these gloves off, put different gloves on. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to do that, right? Without that kind of knowledge. Who here has ever taken a cruise or been to Disney or anything like that? Okay. So you know that they try to say that $15, $20 photo that's only worth about 50 cents? So that's a huge business for these folks. One of our customers is Carnival Cruise Line, and they do about $100 million in cruise photo a year. So it's really, really important to them. But it's been a declining business because you go to the area and you can't find your photo, right? Or you get off the ride at Disney, if it's not timed just correctly, you're not going to see yourself on the screen, and you're not going to buy the photo if you don't see it first. So what these folks are doing is putting in kiosks all over the ships and all over the parks. You walk up to it, front-facing camera, facial recognition, all your photos show up. Pick the ones that you want, and they can send it to either your stateroom or post it to your Instagram or whatever. A's in discovery. And more discovery is kind of more photos sold. But it's also not always about making money either. Sometimes it's more just downright positive. I think sometimes we get worried about privacy and this technology and where is it going and is it, the computer overlord is going to kill us all. But there's other positive things, like one of our customers is a company called Helping Faceless in India. And we don't charge these guys because we think they're doing such a good job, but there's a problem in India where people will kidnap children in rural areas and then sell them to beggars in the urban areas because beggars with a child are more likely to get money out of people. Really been a horrible situation. So they created an app where they hold the app up, they take the picture, facial recognition, it compares the child against the missing children's database. And they use the GPS to say to the police, this child was at this location at this time. They launched about a year and a half ago, and they've saved 6 children so far. So it's really impactful work that can go into knowing who somebody is kind of really quickly. Some of the other things that we do are emotion recognition. And so I can actually tell all of your emotions just from any camera. How you're receiving me, are you paying attention or not, am I boring you or not? There are 6 universal emotions for all humanity. And we can detect those emotions by detecting the facial movements, the muscle movements in your face with a camera. I also detect pulse, age, gender, again, attentiveness. So I'm going to show you a little quick video here of how these things work, and then I think we'll get into some of the details about how it can be applied to some of the things that you guys are doing. Now, this one first. So here's a little demo of our tech kind of at work here. And so what you're seeing, we're actually looking for thousands of points in the face, but we're actually showing just a few here because it's easier to understand. Eyebrows, eyes, and a mouth. And so here you see some different emotions. And the second that the emotions change, we're able to detect that. And not just in a perfectly lit environment like this, it can actually even be a low light environment. So you'll see the next frame here. We can still read your emotions even in low light. It can even be extreme low light. So in a movie theater, for instance, a completely dark room, I can still read your emotions and detect who someone is through our tech. You can kind of cover your eyes and mouth and nose. I'm still able to read your facial movements. You can wear glasses or no glasses. You can even be wearing sunglasses, and I still know where your eyes are through a concept called computational anatomy. I can figure out the rest of the face and detect where the eyes are. Pose, so if a camera is up in the ceiling or kind of down below, I can still make these movements, make these readings. And then you'll see here, micro expressions are really important. So this is that, you might see a video of Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump and go, ooh, right, and 1 second before you can kind of calm yourself down. That's what we're looking for there. So how these things are used in advertising is, one of our customers is Legendary Pictures. So we test a number of films for them. And so we'll have a theater, people just watching hold on 1 second for that. Okay, pause. All right. So we have people in the theater, and we're reading their emotions every quarter second for the entire movie. What we're trying to figure out is, what characters do you like? What characters don't you like? What jokes were good? What jokes fell flat, right? And also, just to know everybody's age and gender, what jokes were good for this group, this demographic versus another demographic. And so they can take that information and create the absolute perfect trailer that they want to create based on the emotions of people in general. And so what I want to show you here in this video is, we can do it not just for one person, but for up to 25 people 25 feet away every quarter second. So you can start it now. Every red box you see, we're getting all that data from the person. So this is a video from the Matrix. We just threw it into our algorithm, no CGI or anything. And you see the second someone comes into frame, we're reading their emotions, age, gender, and of course facial recognition as well. So pretty cool stuff. What's really interesting too in this video, and as we kind of move down a little bit, some of these people are fake. Some of them are actually, you'll see actually the same people over and over. So can you give me a pause in just a second here? Boom. All right, even a little more. Stop. So you notice you don't see any boxes around some of these folks? because they're not real. They're the same person. The algorithm knows that they're not a real person. So yeah, this is that's ultimately kind of what Kairos is. And I want to talk a little bit about, how do we do this? And again, how does it apply to what you guys are doing? So artificial intelligence, how we got this far is we feed an algorithm millions and millions of faces every single month. And so and we tell the algorithm, this is a male, this is a female, this is happy, this is sad, this is joy, this is disgust, this is anger, this is fear, this is attention. And so the algorithm learns what that means and then can later identify that in other things independently. So that's what machine learning is essentially. It's learn what people are, what emotions are, and then doesn't need us at all to figure those things out. And because the algorithm is running on a very powerful machine, it can do that at scale and at speed, much faster than we can, at a really high accuracy rate. The thing about machine learning and artificial intelligence is it doesn't have to only be applied to faces. So the same exact models and the same exact technologies that we use, Google has a program called TensorFlow, which we're really big fans of. Open source, available to everybody here in this room to create your own models. Same technology being used for autonomous driving, right? So you just load streams and streams of camera feeds of what it looks like to be driving, and where obstacles are, what cars are, what trees are, what situations should be done. And you just train the model saying, this is what you should do in these situations, and it learns how to handle driving. There's some simpler models that are really interesting. So Samsung's doing some things around refrigerators. So little cameras in your refrigerator can identify what items are and how much is left, either through weight or looking through a plastic item. So if you're running low on milk, it can actually order more milk for you on Amazon Prime or what have you, and just have it delivered to your house before you actually run out of milk. You can understand, if you seem to be making certain things every few weeks, it can prepare to say, hey, you're low on this, and you're about to want to make French toast. I know it's going to happen on Saturday. So you can order things like that. So yeah, this machine learning, artificial intelligence is applicable to almost every business. And so I'd love to maybe stop here, open up for questions, hear about what you guys are doing or working on or thinking, and let's talk openly about how either facial recognition or machine learning in general could really move the needle for you. So that's it in my prepared remarks, but here we go. Again, thanks for having me, and feel free to clap for me now. I feel good about it. Next, please. All right, so we'll take questions. Stand for me.
How you doing? Corey Freeman with Mindset Media. I wanted to know, how do you think your technology compares against technology that casinos might be using, or the government when trying to filter out, terrorists, potential terrorists, or known associations or something like that?
Absolutely. So we do a lot of work with commercial customers. So we're as good as anybody in the world with commercial. Government facial recognition isn't as strong as commercial facial recognition. They've started to build their own and trying to catch up a little bit. One of the challenges for the government is they issue RFPs and they're looking for the lowest price, right? And so they've bought the most average facial recognition tool. So if you've ever been to an international trip, they have those new machines now where it takes a picture of you and does facial recognition to verify who you are. The federal contract for that facial recognition was $75,000 one time total for the entire country. Yeah, we charge our customers $10,000, $20,000 a month, right? Every single month, recurring. So it would be, for us, it's not a great business. Trying to say it nicely.
Hey, my name is Aditya. I'm from Google, so this is fantastic.
Thank you.
This is great tech. But for the startups in the room, I know one of the biggest problems for machine learning is starting the flywheel, getting data.
Yes.
Right? Like, you guys are very fortunate to have millions of faces tagged, uploaded, and modeled.
Yeah.
Any tips and tricks for startups looking to kick off the data flywheel?
We didn't always. Yeah. So I'll repeat the question for those in here. The question essentially was, these models are very data thirsty, And so when you're first starting off, you don't have a lot of data to feed the model to create a result like that in others. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Okay. And so how did how does an early stage startup think about that? We did it through giving things away early and doing a great job with SEO and SEM and saying to people, hey, this is free, it's not great, but it'll solve your problem and kind of initially grow with us and just give us data, right? And so we did that kind of early on. The first 3,000 of our 10,000 customers are on a very cheap or almost freemium plan to get enough, to get to scale. And then we were able to now charge for it because now it's strong enough to charge.
I'm Harold Hughes from Greenville, South Carolina, and my company is Bandwagon. I love this. This is sick. I actually consult with a company that does like cyber awareness as far as bots. So if I'm in the ticket industry right now. If y'all try to buy Beyonce tickets, they get scrapped up by bots who resell them later. Do you guys see a way where you'll be moving away from needing the facial recognition and being able to learn user behavior based on mouse, keyboard, like things that aren't visual? Like, do you see that as something that would be valuable to your platform? Is that in your roadmap?
Yeah. Our ultimate goal is to be, if you have any question about humanity, you would come to us, right? Solve a small problem.
Awesome.
So, yeah, so that's definitely something we're looking into. Next things on the roadmap are eye tracking. So not just the emotion someone feels, but what was this very thing they were looking at when they felt that emotion. To us, that's very powerful. The other thing we're working on, and actually we just finished an R&D, is violence detection. This is separate from your question, but just to give an example of the things we're working on.
Yeah.
So we finished an algorithm that is both pre-crime and crime. So it detects when you're about to get into a fight. So if your arm's open, pointing, what we call jerk vector. So if you're walking through a frame and then you're jerked backwards, you're probably going to fight somebody. And then there's also actual physical and physical violence, the actual striking of someone. So our mall customers, our school customers, and people are very interested in those kind of technology. So we're just going to keep adding to this stack of ours until we've got humanity kind of on track.
Hey, my name is Dan Breer, and I work with a nonprofit program based here called Code the Dream. And we work with folks from a lot of underrepresented backgrounds in tech, giving them a chance to get started towards working as software developers in tech. And my question is that we have a lot of, so folks in our program get to where they're pretty good at web development, app development, and we work with a lot of local nonprofits and small businesses who can benefit from our services, but we've never even really thought about using or suggesting that they use machine learning in anything that they're doing because of the assumption that it's just beyond these nonprofits' reach. So my question is, how close are we, or are there currently kind of out-of-the-box machine learning solutions where you can identify the factors you want to learn and without having basically a machine learning specialist on your team?
I think you'd be shocked at how much is available, and you probably know a lot about this as well. There are a lot of people in the machine learning AI kind of community. We're really into open sourcing and making things available. People will start a model, get it kind of to that kind of MVP point, and then make it available to people to build on top of. A lot of universities do that as well. I think that it's a skill set that isn't built on top of other skill sets. I mean, there's a baseline knowledge, right? But I think it's really something that you can that can be your thing, you know? And one of the things about this area is the number of exits in the machine learning space is ridiculous. I mean, we count just in our space, the human kind of, there have been 27 exits in the last 18 months. The average price has gotten up to about 120 million per exit, and the going kind of rate is, for every machine learning person you have on your team, it's $2.5 million for the valuation. For every PhD, it's $10 million for the valuation. So you're seeing kind of these, you can get these folks to just a kind of very early stage, and they can have a real impact in their lives.
Can you talk about some of the companies that you guys have acquired in that process?
Yes, yes. So we bought 2 companies last year. That's an important part of like getting access to talent. We bought a company called Immersive, which did some of the motion tech that you saw. And we bought another company out of London who was a design firm. Design is a really, really, really important part of the process. A lot of firms that fail in this space are really, really techy, but their website is terrible, no one can find them, you know, it's painful. We spend a lot of time, we're, you know, ex-Apple people, right? So we're all about Helvetica, it's gonna be, you know, hardcore, they taught me a lot. But we think a lot about design because it's really how we are able to get so many customers. Just to give a sense of the growth, November 2015, so, you know, less than a year, we were processing 45,000 faces per month, right? And like, as we mentioned, we're processing 3 million faces per month now. So we've grown over 5,044% in the last year. And design is a really important part of that user journey.
I'm Nicole from Google. Thank you for being here. I can see how this technology is so useful in so many ways, and also scenarios where people might be a little wary around privacy concerns. What kind of parameters do you guys set up around privacy, or what hurdles have you kind of run into there?
We got September here from the Department of Commerce. We were talking about this just a couple minutes ago. We think a lot about privacy. In fact, I just testified earlier this year at the Department of Commerce on facial recognition privacy. There's some talks going on there. We're trying to set some ground rules, even opt-ins, but just something that I can put a banner on my website and say, I adhere to these policies and procedures. You know, we don't allow things with, like, you know, children or exploitation. But of course we do for, like, the saving children, but, you know, that kind of thing. But right now there are no rules in the US. There are some rules in Canada. There are some rules in the EU, but generally there are no rules globally on this topic, and we would like there to be. It's been tough because we've been trying to be a bridge between the ACLU and some of the consumer groups. We're people, so we're kind of more on the ACLU side on this, but a lot of our contemporaries in business are not, so we're just trying to kind of get together. It's been tough so far, but I believe we're going to get there.
Rasan Hunter, user experience designer for Carter, a membership management system. So I'm a designer, similar to probably the opposite of what you were talking about a second ago, which I can design the experience and build. Any advice that you have around building a team of IT professionals in order to bring an idea together?
Yeah, we would tell you, and this is my Apple hat on as well, it's harder to find people with good taste than it is to find an engineer. It's because of resources like this, there are more and more and more engineers being made available every single year. And we think that it's a problem that will eventually kind of be solved because of some of the good work of the different groups all around. But in the short term, my little hack for you would be Slack groups. You gotta think and act and understand the mind of an engineer. You know, be empathetic. Engineers love Slack. Engineers love GitHub. Engineers love Hacker News, right? So live where they live, eat where they eat, read what they read, and you will find yourself amongst them, and then hire them. And also when you use those kind of terms, they go, oh yeah, excited, full of bond. Yes, also like
Some examples of how this technology might be used in the financial services industry.
Okay, good examples of how this technology can be used in the financial service industry. We've got a big customer called Selfie Pay. They do some work for Alibaba. And so imagine you're doing like a Square kind of transaction and you're signing. We're using the front-facing camera to verify the person signing for the transaction is the person that owns that credit card, virtually eliminating credit card fraud. That's in the Chinese market now, but I think MasterCard and some others are doing some things like that here in the US as well. So I think that's kind of the use case for us. We do some things in banking as well, just standard teller banking, identifying threats before they come into the branch, and also understanding kind of customer service queues and times. I'm going to go back in.
Why did you pick The Matrix of all things to like a movie?
Because we're geeks.
Like a movie where the robots enslaved humanity because. Is that like tongue in cheek, or do you have like? Are you trying to say? question is, like, where do you stand on sort of the people are worried about,
Killing yourself.
machine learning getting so,
Yeah, well, Ray Kurzweil, if you guys know, he's a futurist, famous futurist out in San Francisco, thinks that singularity, right? So computers being sentient, understanding, having kind of self-awareness is, I think in his mind, with 30, 40 years away or so. Yeah, if you look at the exponential growth curve, that kind of thing. I'm not as sure if it's going to be that soon or if it's going to happen at all. But I will say this about humanity. We have a cognitive bias for the extreme, right? Those of us that are all here, that made it here, our ancestors, they heard a rustle in the bush and they ran, right? And the ones that said, oh, what's that? And they got attacked by the tiger. They're not here. So all of us that are left are the ones that kind of identify the problem, right? And then run from it. And so, which is good, but now in this new, this kind of like retrain our own kind of intelligence to say that even if that's a possibility, how many other things are along the way that could impact humanity that are important or positive? So, for automobiles, there are thousands of automobile accidents every single year, right? People die, lives lost, drunk driving, horrible, horrible things. If the person, if Ford said, you know what, I'm not going to invent this thing, right? Because of that, we wouldn't have really the society we have today, including hopefully autonomous vehicles, which get rid of a lot of those accidents, right? So I don't think that the technology, the way it's created and the way it's legislated, I don't know that we can kind of get off the train. I think it's how do we manage it? How do we steer the train? How do we control it? I think that's the questions we should ask ourselves. I'm going to go back wall here. Oh, wait, I promise, sir.
So do you see any of this working in the agricultural industry as far as detection of maybe pest or disease from far off? I know a lot of farmers now, especially if you're large scale, can use cameras for GPSing, mapping, and things like that. But do you see anything like this helping to detect disease and things like that early?
Yeah, there is a company that does that now with drones. Yeah, so they use machine learning. They actually train the algorithm as to what unhealthy, I think it started with corn, what unhealthy corn crops look like, and then use drones to fly over fields to identify the diseased crop and then mark it and say, okay, go there and get that particular stalk out. Not a farmer, but you get the general idea. Yeah. So.
Can you talk a little bit about how you establish and use ground truth data to basically train and optimize your software against?
Yeah, and that goes back to the kind of the seeding question. For us, a lot of it starts at university. There are a couple of data sets that are available at university that are made available open source that you can start with. Easiest are gender. Some of the hardest things to find are age. We learned a lot of things from age from our customers and private data sets, like our own data sets. And in facial recognition, you manually tag. You just literally, you have a staff of researchers manually tagging images for the first year or two. We're 4 years old. This product has only been available in its current form, really, in the last year, right? So the first 3, we're figuring it out, doing some pivots, and just getting here and doing things manually. So we'll walk back.
Yeah, I guess it kind of goes along with the seeding question. There's, we've had ingenuity with transgender performing folks, scholarity, and gender. Then when you talk about violence, it's making immediately think of all the studies around, like, particularly white folks being more likely to break interaction with black people with violence than the same interaction between white folks. I'm just thinking about, like, how y'all encounter that kind of bias as you're building your team so the machine doesn't then just replicate the same biases.
Yeah, and our bias work is,
Can you repeat the question?
oh, absolutely. So repeating the question. Good long question. So, the question is, how do you keep the algorithm from learning implicit bias based on training data, right? So this training data, let's say, of 2 African Americans fighting versus 2 white Americans fighting. I mean, now I'm just kind of filling in, right? You don't want an algorithm that's only going to identify violence in African Americans and then give that to police. Like, how do you think through those kind of problems? So the interesting part, at least for us, is that in that particular scenario, we're not doing anything around race. We're looking at more like extremities. It's like a stick, almost like a stick figure kind of man. And so we're not getting that level, but it's not to say that other people couldn't take a different approach. I think that going back to our standards conversation, we need to have some standards for universities and for companies like ours about how to train data in appropriate ways. And if you're going to do any kind of training for government use, there's got to be a strict set of rules about how those things are trained. That doesn't currently exist, and we believe it should exist. I haven't over here yet, and I'm going to come. Actually, I'm over here, and I'm going to come all the way around. And you can stop me on time, whoever's. Okay.
Hey, John, you are here with Brackeen. I heard a question. I heard a question in the back about the financial industry, and I have some experience in fraud and compliance. And you said that you guys can pick up pulse and micro expressions as well, which is awesome. That's pretty sensitive software there, technology there. So my question is, do you guys do anything with lie spotting, lie detecting, or anything like that, just combining some of those features?
Yeah, it's an R&D. So the question, and how, we're doing some work with lie detection and that kind of thing. There are a couple of things. So showing strong emotion doesn't necessarily mean you're lying, right? But there are things around eye tracking. So when you're remembering things, you're going to one side, you're looking up into one side, and you're dreaming or imagining an answer, your eyes go to the other side. I forget which one. And so we're identifying that. People who are lying or nervous will detect more sweat on the upper lip. So we're training the algorithm to detect kind of moisture on the upper lip, under the nose. Certain twitches, certain muscle movements will show someone who's just very uncomfortable lying. Now, if you're a professional liar, some of these things won't show up, but it's really for kind of the masses. And the last thing is pulse detection also aids a little bit. One quick thing on pulse detection. One, when the blood is up into your head versus down, there's a slight discoloration in your skin. The camera can pick up that discoloration and then figure out the ups and the downs and therefore your pulse. The other thing is, it's about 12 pounds of force when the blood goes up into your head versus down. And so there's a slight tremor every pulse. We can't see it as humans, but the camera can pick that up as well. And so we use those two things to figure out what somebody's pulse rate is.
Joseph from Holly Springs, North Carolina. My name is Joseph from Holly Springs, North Carolina. I just launched my own company a month ago called Taskaway.
Congratulations.
So, well, I have no tech background, so half these questions I don't really understand what's going on, what's being said. But I'm interested in really knowing like your backstory, like why did you start this company and what made you start this company? What was the original idea for this company?
Long, interesting backstory. So, I'll give you the raw truth. Raw truth. Number one, I was a terrible student. Let's start with that. I was really a DF student all my life, social promotion. I always was very gifted at a very high IQ, but just was not interested in doing the work. That much to my parents' chagrin. Went to Penn State, and you're killing me because my daughter's here. So, so I'm gonna have to like, you should go to school. She gets all A's, God bless her. So yeah, I went to Penn State for a semester and then dropped out. Don't do that. And it just, it just wasn't for me. But my parents, being eminently amazing people, said, Brian, we believe in you. Follow your dreams. You can always live in your room. But just do what you think is best for you. And so I did that. Got into tech. First, just a standard kind of desktop support job. Always elevating, always kind of getting better every year. So I was doing kind of more and more advanced projects. Got some international experience at IBM, where nobody wanted to do like some of the certain countries. I was like, put me on the plane, I'll go. And just learn the time by doing all the jobs that no one wanted to do. And then I parlayed that to a job at Apple, which really, that was a whole different level of tech. And I learned so much there. And it was there that I felt like I was sitting in a cubicle one day. I felt like my soul was being sucked into the lights above me. And I was like, this, it was a wonderful place, chefs making your meals, blah, blah, blah. But I knew it wasn't for me. I had to kind of make my own mark. And and I quit my job at Apple. My parents were like, left IBM to go to Apple, which was bankrupt a few years before that. Then then Apple gets good, you're gonna quit that thing too? But they still supported me. And I sold a bunch of Apple stock, which was college money, but don't worry, we're gonna get it back. And I started the company. I took the first $250,000 and seeded the company myself. I was able to get 5 angel investors in Miami to put in their own $250,000, and kind of went from there. So that's my kind of backstory. I'm gonna go to comments list. I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna come around to you next. All right, cool.
Hey, thank you. Excited to.
Thank you.
My name is Bernard. I'm a designer and developer with a boutique consultancy upstairs. We build web apps, mobile apps, and cross-com, and we're getting into virtual reality as well. And I'm thinking, we have a room upstairs and it has sensors for our HTC Vive. And I'm thinking, what are the virtual reality implications of something like your software? And also, as a developer, if I wanted to get an API key and start consuming your API, do you do live streaming? Because if I was doing a hangout and I was interviewing someone, I wanted to know more about that particular interview, could I do live analysis?
Really, really good question. You're going to want to see that brother later, okay? So yeah, you can get an API key, go to Kairos.com. It's not supposed to be a commercial for us, really, but just to answer your question specifically. You can go to Kairos.com, get an API key, use whatever you want to use. Also, I'll send you a link to we also have SDKs for your streaming option. So you can run that locally to whatever environment that you want. And you can even send it down into, whatever, it depends on what you're doing, right? You understand. You have an SDK that you can use to get the data back instantly. We can do it as little as every 10 milliseconds if you like. Yeah. See this. Oh, wait, that's right, I promised you.
So my name is Chris, and I have a question about, you mentioned the camera several times. What quality camera is required to run the analysis that can detect sweat on the upper lip or whatnot? Or do you have kind of variance in what camera is acceptable? And then also, as a kind of second question, do you do any kind of multivariate, taking different streams of data, not just the camera data, and correlating those pieces of those data in your training?
Yes, absolutely. I forgot the second question, the answer to the second question, which was in VR, people are creating, let's say there's a avatar talking to me. They're using our software to kind of read the person's emotions so the avatar can respond as a human would respond to the other person. That's very common. To your question, we need about 100 pixels between the eyes to get a good reading. That's not for the sweat and the brow stuff. That's still in R&D, so we'll see how that goes. We have other stuff. But for everything else that you're seeing here that we talked about, 100 pixels between the eyes is all we need. Very low quality camera. Anything that's made in the last 5 years or even more would be acceptable. And what was the second?
Second question was, do you use multiple data sources, not just the visuals, to strengthen the algorithm?
Yeah. Interesting thing about particularly artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning is sometimes I can't even tell you what or why it's making a decision, and you know a little bit about this as well. So you feed in images, video, whatever, and you say what the answer is, but it decides what pixels it saw there and what those pixels mean, independent of us. So yeah, the answer is I don't know, only the algorithm knows.
So I had a quick follow-up to that. My question. So you have a lot of awesome insights into like the pulses, and, like the lip, sweat, and that kind of stuff. How are you either inferring what to look for or validating what the machine spits out? Because it's garbage in, garbage out, right?
Oh yeah.
How do you validate that they're a liar?
Yeah, the gentleman in the first video you saw, his name is Dr. Moore, Dr. Stephen Moore. He's a brilliant PhD out of the UK. He has he's a dual PhD in psychology and in machine learning and computer vision. So you take kind of these kind of special unicorny people that understand the science and the psychology behind things, and then apply them to the computer vision side, so we get real insights. Or else you're just making it up.
I'm just wondering, like, if you know how long until this stuff is in your phone or your house door or stuff like that, so you just walk up to it and it just opens for you.
It already happened. Yeah, those are products that are already on the market.
Well, like, you know, how long would you guess is like the years like that'll become like in our hands?
Apple bought one of our competitors earlier this year for around $100 million, and they call it Emotion. And so in iOS, you'll be able to call Emotion as an iOS command in the next 24 months.
I have a question too. It's sort of related to what the girl in front of me was asking, but so in terms of like this growth you've experienced in the last year, you mentioned like having some altruistic projects like helping faces. So what's the process of kind of vetting your customers? Like I know in the world of capitalism it would be kind of like unheard of to be like, oh no, you can't use our product, or we don't like what you're trying to do with this, we don't want to work with you, or we don't want you to use the product. But do you have any systems like that where like everybody who's like asking to use it, do you kind of like look at what they're doing, or what is that like?
Yeah, we've got a couple people that we turn down. We go into the data that people submit. We look at some of the images and things. You know, it's not even all appropriate for public conversation, but like some of it, there's somebody doing some catfishing types detection, which might be okay, but the kind of dating site that he owned was like on the edge for us. And so we kind of turned him down. The idea of catfishing is like, you just want to make sure the person that's submitting the photo is that person. It's not a person of like, it's not the really good looking best friend, right? And you know, and if it's Match.com, maybe we would accept that as a use case, but in his particular case, it wasn't appropriate.
So you are looking at each person that's like, or each company that's trying to use it?
Yeah, we certainly spot check. If you get to high volume, certainly all of them are checked. If you've only got 10 images in, we don't get to all those, but they're also not really using it at that kind of level. Sure.
So I was wondering if artificial intelligence or machine learning, and specifically facial recognition, will be advanced enough in the future to sort of screen mentally ill people who are capable of violence. Do you think so?
Maybe. I don't see, this goes back to the question about garbage in, garbage out. I would need to talk to someone who's an expert in the field of identifying those traits, whether or not there are physical traits to understand mental health. If there are, the answer is yes. If there's not, the correlation between some physical trait, the answer is no.
So like beyond like facial recognition, like, you need to like get other information. I feel like it could really accelerate the learning process. Just being able to tell what a tree is being shared, or what switch. Is that something that you're?
Not for us. There are lots of people doing that exact thing. So there are people that you can hold up a leaf. I've seen this app. You take a picture of a leaf, it'll tell you what tree it came from, the background, the scientific name of it. And, people are using artificial intelligence for all kinds of things. There's a great company out of Atlanta called PartPick, big fans. And she works with Google as well, right?
Oh, I think I saw that.
Yeah, she's a rock star. So the problem that she's solving is, you work in manufacturing, heating, air conditioning, whatever, you pull out a part and you don't know what the heck it is. You take a picture of it and then it'll tell you what part that is, where it comes from, where it's sourced. You can reorder it and it'll be right instead of you guessing, is it a 6-sided screw or a 6.5? That kind of thing. So solving a real problem. She takes images of all around the parts, blah, 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 and machine learning.
Last question.
Last question.
As you look forward in regards to like the ethics, how do you see this playing into our criminal justice system? And how does this play into determining whether or not you trust the machine or you trust people's intuition or their judgment?
One could argue that we're not doing a great job of criminal justice with people. Maybe we could do a better job if we just sentence people with an algorithm as opposed to But would people be comfortable with that? I don't know if they would be comfortable with that or not, even given the issues that we have today. The ultimate answer is there is no answer, right? I think as a society, we'll have to decide what we think is an appropriate use or not. But I can tell you that right now it's possible for an algorithm to look at a case, let's look at the facts, and after someone's decided guilty or not, they can sentence someone, and it would do the same thing in the same cases and the same races every single time. It would actually literally kind of solve that problem. But I don't know if people are willing to let the machine decide how long they're going to be in prison or not. And so that's a societal question, I think, ultimately. But it's technically very possible. That would be easier than what we do, way easier. So, guys, thank you so much for having me.